emerging octogenarian poet. After a career writing prose and fiction, 8 years ago I retired from teaching and discovered that writing can be fooling around. It doesn't have to be some learned, consciously difficult thing. And I started writing what I thought were lyrical essays, and they got shorter and shorter, and I got bored with the prose, and they turned into poems. So this is my fifth book as a poet. Sort of a bridge between prose and poetry was this book, which came out a couple years ago, but is in a new edition that my daughter illustrated with shadow boxes. And it's called Foundlings. And what it was my, not plagiarizing, but assembling passages from some of my favorite prose passages in Flaubert and Tolstoy and Jamaica Kincaid and a whole aura of different prose writers, and trying to epitomize them in poems that also expressed me, and that collectively ended up having a vision. And that's what this book is. So Trim Reckonings, the first book of my own poems, Restless for Words. Trim Reckonings is a title from Shakespeare's Henry IV and that wonderful violist figure, Falstaff. And if you don't recall the quote, Falstaff is a holiday kind of guy who doesn't believe in mortal stakes or anything. So when it comes to saving the kingdom in Shakespeare's play, he's challenged by the word honor. And his counterpart figure, Hal, is a scapegrace prince who is discovering responsibility and his obligations to honor. So what is honor? Asked Falstaff. A word. What is that word, honor? What is that honor? Air. A trim reckoning. By which he meant a bad deal. If people are going to die for something called honor, what do they get out of it? People forget about them in a generation anyway. At best, put up a statue. So this book begins with some wordplay, but mostly some life play. So family matters. This poem's called Scars. 3 inches under my jaw, right side, where at age 5 I had surgery, my sister remembers, for an infected lymph node. 1 inch, left hand, between little and ring fingers, where I got cleated in high school football. 4 inches, left elbow, from fixing a barbed wire fence on a ranch before college. 35 years of running ended in a bad fall from a curb. Surgery for bilateral complete quad tendon rupture, and 8 inches on both knees. But nothing in my life equals my father's scars. As a teen, he'd had osteomyelitis in his left femur. A groove of infected marrow had been taken, leaving his leg permanently weakened in a deep crevice, hip to knee, where folds of the incision had grown into the bone. He limped. He fell away on his right leg with his golf swing. He rarely went swimming. I was squeamish at the sight, and when, age 7, I ran for his protection from thunder and lightning, and he welcomed me into his bed, I was afraid, somehow, of bumping against or falling into the scar. I have my invisible ones: disappointed heart, failures, faults, betrayals of myself and others, stupidities and shame, losses of loved ones, but nothing like my father's breakdown before I was born, his alcoholic bad times, which left him odd, brooding, and beholden to my mother. She stuck with me through it all. He marveled the one time he told me his version. Most women wouldn't have. She's one woman in 1,000. Are scars the proof of wounds or of healing? Tribal scars, I called my memoir after his death, but a friend warned me that no one would buy a book with scars in its title. So I decided on Sweet Dreams. Technology is our friend and enemy at the same time. And part of what worries me is the way that language gets taken for granted. Honor, air. But in a larger sense, imagination starts getting taken for granted. So this is a poem called The Birdly. The full-body flight simulator has a tiltable bench like an examination table. Lower yourself to knee pads. Lie spread eagle with arms and hands on flappable paddles. Fit on VR goggles. Raise face to fin. Get strapped in, and you're flying. Lean and dip, flap arms and climb, raise palms and slow, dive, swoop, feel wind, see feathered wingtips in periphery. All around the fading horizon, below a cityscape, the tops of jagged high-rises, geometric, man-made, which shrink or loom, the grid of streets. You're free within a 3D space, cartoonish, yet immersive. The wind and pumping arms for touch, the smells of ozone or pollution, ocean, open fields and forests, plunging speed or hovering. It's past the size of dreaming, past memory, metaphor, analogy. Icarus's melting wax. Flight ends by crash or power switch. Fan stills. Unfeathered bipeds. Goggle free. Unstrapped. We welcome weight. Our world is no cartoon.